Yo, my people, I'm back to help you learn how to become a better Bloxburg house builder. Last time we went over house shape and layout, and that's when we built most of this structure. But today we're going to be talking about roofing. And then in the future, we'll talk about coloring and potentially more things, but that might be the last video in this series. So let's hop into build mode real quick so we can take a look at the roofs we have. I am in nighttime, but I don't want to be. So we go to build and we go to roof, and then we can see all the different types of roofs we have down here, right? It might be a little bit overwhelming to be like, what roof type should I use? Well, the first tip I have for you when it comes to roofing your Bloxburg house is know what style of house you're going for. Because if you're building a Victorian house, for example, you're most likely going to stick with gabled and mansard roofs, which you can see right here, gable and mansard. But with the mansard roofs, there's also the flared mansard, there's the hollow one, and then there's this mansard one that has a skylight in it. So whichever one of those you want to use is up to you. But then, for example, a modern farmhouse is going to be gabled and slanted roofs mainly. So these two right here. And then for like a straight up modern house, most likely you're going to be sticking with flat roofs. If you don't know what kind of roofs the style of house you're going for usually has, you can always just use Pinterest or Google and search up a house in that style and see what comes up for you. And if you're not going for a specific style or you just don't know, sometimes the shape of your house can help you. Because for example, I have like this bay window type of area on my house. And for one thing, a gabled roof would not look good on that in any way. Maybe I should demonstrate this, because for one thing, a gabled roof has to have 4 points and it has to be in the shape of a box. And so if I do this, it doesn't even let me do a roof with that. And so the only way to do a gabled roof on here would be something like that. That leaves those two corners over here empty, and that's just not a good look. So usually with those, you'd want to do a mansard roof. Let me show you what that looks like. Something like that. Or you want to do a slanted roof, which would look like this, but it looks better if it's probably a bit higher. And that is hard to see when you don't see like the rest of the roof, but once I, roof this house, you'll start to see it come to life. But when it comes to boxy areas, like pretty much the rest of this house, you can use almost any kind of roof, and I guess that's where the first tip I gave would come in handy. But when it's like a super convoluted shape, like it's not really a bay window, but it's not really a box, then a flat roof or a mansard roof is gonna be your best friend. So with all of that in mind, I'm gonna start roofing my house and explain as much as I can as I go. I'm gonna start out with a gabled roof because that's probably gonna be the majority of my roofs on here. And I was thinking the style of this house was gonna be like suburban, but looking at it, I feel like it's more modern farmhouse the more I've been like decorating it and everything. So as you can see, this here is like the main body of the house, what I'm doing right now. So I'm just gonna do a gabled roof over that whole thing. You can kind of see there's a big square right here, a rectangle rather. So I'm gonna make that into a gabled roof, and it's okay that it kind of eats into this bay window area. And I'm gonna bring that up higher just because for me, high roofs are aesthetic. And you know what? I'm kind of thinking of adding dormers because dormers are just gorgeous. So I'm gonna go pretty high. That might be too high though. We can always adjust later if we need to. I guess something I didn't think about when I was planning this video was like thickness of your roof. For me, I personally like roofs that are a bit thicker. I think depending on the style of your house, that can change. So I'm just thickening mine a little bit. I also kind of like it when it like hangs off a little extra. I feel like that in itself is kind of a tip, like play around with the height and the width. Like that's a thing. That's important because if you just keep it the default, you're limiting yourself on the beauty of your house, really. So I'm happy with that for now. We will see how this keeps going. Trust the process. I know it looks kind of wonky now, but I think it's gonna get better. And then I'm gonna just take off that roof. I'm not deleting it, just we're not seeing it. And then I'm gonna do another gabled one over here. And now is a good time to mention the way your gabled roof shows up. So as you can see, this one over here, the slants are facing like the front of the house and the back of the house, right? And then it's open on the side, and that's because it's longer this way and it's shorter this way. So the shorter side of the rectangle is gonna get the open part. If it's a square, let me test this out for you. I'm pretty sure if it's a square, it's always gonna face with the open part at the front, if that makes sense. Let me see. So I believe this is 5 by 5 like this. Yep, so that is exactly what happened, but that is not what we want. because this is a hot mess. Because the thing is, I could have decided to do my roof like that. Like that would have been a very natural place for me to do it. But because I know it's gonna face that way, I'm gonna make this long this way so that it faces the same way as my other roof, just like that. And I'm liking that so far. The only thing here is now we've got like this double peak. So I'm gonna bring this down so that these two slants are now flat against each other. And I'm gonna go ahead and confirm that roof. For this little section here, I'm not sure whether I want gabled or slanted. The whole time I've been thinking I was gonna do a gabled roof, but now I'm worried that that's not gonna look the greatest. And a slanted might do the job a lot better. I'd say that could pass, but I'm guessing that I'm gonna like a slanted roof better, so we're just gonna try that out. And the great thing about slanted roofs is they're the only ones that you can rotate as you're building it. So I haven't confirmed this roof yet, so if I hit R, it's gonna rotate, and then I'm just gonna rotate it a bit more until it's in the right position. Yay! Oh, do you see how much better this is now that it has a slanted roof? So feel free to play around with your roofs too, because you might find a better combination than what you're starting out with. And I'm thinking about doing a slanted one over here too. If you don't want to have to worry about rotating your slanted roof, then the way it works is the first 2 points that you place down are gonna be the ones that are lower on the slant, and the last 2 is how it's gonna be higher. So you see how I place the front 2 first and then the back 2 last, so it's facing the way I already wanted it to face, so that was nice. And I'm loving that. That is looking so nice, I think. Y'all, I'm actually so proud of how this house is turning out. I was kind of scared how roofing would go, but I'm happy with it so far. And then on this box over here, I'm actually not gonna roof it. This is supposed to be a little balcony, so I'm just gonna put a floor, and then that closes that off. And then we still have this little guy over here, which I almost forgot about him. My guess is that we are gonna do a slanted roof because that fits with like the modern farmhouse vibes, but I am a little bit tempted to try a mansard roof. So why don't we just go for it and give it a shot. With this kind of mansard roof, you don't want to do just this, because if I wanted to raise it up, look how it's like flat and there's a gap in the back. Not nice, not good at all. Blech. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some points. I'm just gonna make it more of the same shape. And do you see how that's like more of like a Victorian type of roof, like the rounded ones with a point? And now this one, you do not want this sticking out because it doesn't really look great like that. So I'm just gonna lower that, and that's the best that roof is gonna look. It's okay. It's really not the worst, but I don't think it's what we're going for. It doesn't fit the style of this house, so we're gonna do the flat roof for sure. And with this, I kind of have to pretend that this is a box shape thingy. So we'll just do a rectangle like this and then make it a little thicker like their other roofs again. Oh yes, I like that much better, but we do need to raise it up a bit. And with the flat roof, you have to be careful raising it up because I want it to look like there's like a little corner right here between these 2 roofs. So if I do it too high, there's a huge gap. Not good. We can bring it down and make it more of a little corner. If you really want that like higher, what you can just do is to do a bigger rectangle like this, which I'm not showing you on the house, but I think you get it. Like I'd be able to bring this up higher and like all of this would still be hidden by this other roof. Okay, so now I have this house all covered up, and it actually looks like I did this roof over here one little notch too high, but it's so little and I'm so lazy that I'm not gonna worry about it. If it was bigger, I would say redo it, please. And now that this is mostly roofed, honestly, I'm pretty happy with it, but I've learned that the more roofs you have, the merrier. At least with my like suburban modern farmhouse cottage type of houses. So something I could do with that piece of advice is maybe add an extra gabled roof on this main roof part and have it go like this potentially, and then I'd raise that up because I think that would look a bit nicer if it was higher. And do you see how that just adds more to the house? And there's probably ways I could add even more, and I want to keep it, but I'm actually not going to because of my next tip. Now again, this could be all that you do for your roof, but if you want to make it extra pretty, then I would just add more to it. And one of those things that would be more is dormers, which I mentioned before. When you want to add dormers, I think I might have said this before, you want like the base roof that it's coming out of to be pretty high, hence why I made this a really high gabled roof. And with a dormer, you start with a wall, and I'm gonna try to fit 3 on here. I don't know whether 3 will fit, but you want to start your wall like in the roof, so you can't see where that is, but I'm just gonna drag that out to here, and it should usually line up with the wall on the bottom. I think if I do this one tile wide, it might fit 3. We'll see. And then again, we're gonna take take that wall through the roof again. Okay, so far so good. Yep, that's not working for us because it's uneven. I'm trying out a dormer that is 2 tiles wide. I have a feeling I'm not gonna like it as much, but we're just testing for now. You know what? I'm gonna go with it because I think just having the 1 tile ones is just not gonna work for us, unfortunately. But let me go ahead and build the roof for these. I think, again, especially going for the modern farmhouse look, we could go with either gabled or slanted, and I'm gonna try out both. I feel like I might actually like the slanted better yet again, even though, again, I had planned to do gabled. And there's that one, and there's that one. So I really like this house. Honestly, I'm kind of scared to do the slanted roof because I really do like those. Let me just try to see if I can put a dormer over here too. Maybe this is where we'll get our skinny 1 tile dormer in. I'm really loving it, and I'm so scared to do the slanted one because I'm scared it's not gonna be as good. You know what? I'm keeping it. I'm not even gonna try. So dormers are one way you can make your roof extra pretty. But before I show you the rest, let me quickly color these roofs because I think the ideas will be lost on you otherwise. And I wasn't gonna talk for this part because I was thinking maybe I would talk about this in like the coloring video, but because I'm doing a modern farmhouse, usually the gabled roofs are shingles and then the slanted ones are metal. Just thought I'd add that in there so that we have this metal roof option, and that's the one you want to go with. I think though here I'm gonna make that darker because usually my shingles I do darkstone gray, but darkstone gray on this metal roof does not look as dark as I want it to be. So I'm gonna go with really black. That's more of the tone we're going for there. Okay, looking good. So the second way you can make your roof extra pretty is to improvise some roof trim, because we don't have these built into the game. But if we go to structurals in build, you can use beams, and I think I would normally do the standard size. And if you just line the edge of your roof with a beam, and see here it's kind of a lot smaller, you can just resize that and make it line up perfectly. That was beautiful. And if you want, you can also make it wider because I feel like it's not wide enough here. Let's do another one. So now if I color that white to contrast and probably like a plastic or something, I'm gonna go for smooth plastic. Even just with this, you can see how that adds so much to the house, just adding that roof trim. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do that to the rest of this house, or at least the rest of the gabled roofs. I'm not gonna do it on the metal roofs because that wouldn't look good and isn't realistic either. This little one over here kind of got all wonky and isn't lined up properly, but if you have the Transform Plus Game Pass, you can just use that on there, and I can rotate that slightly. You essentially want it lined up to like this little slant on the roof there, and then it just needs to be shoved over like this so it's lined up. Yay! And even with these ones that are kind of wonky, like on these sides, you can probably just use the transform tool and maybe slightly rotate it till it all shows up like that. Yes, and even bring it out a little bit maybe, and then it's even better. And don't forget to line your dormers as well. And voila, y'all, here is that full coverage view of that. I am liking it. I can't promise that I'll keep it because usually a modern farmhouse wouldn't have a roof trim, but I am liking it already, so it might stay. And then my very last tip for you when it comes to roofing and making your roof extra pretty is to literally add greenery onto your roof. And this just depends on what kind of style you're going for. Usually a cottage type of house would have like some like moss or flowers or greenery on the roof, but modern farmhouse, you don't typically see that. But I've just loaded up my Daisy Core Town, and you can see how I put daisies and mushrooms on this roof, and I think it looks extra cute. But that fits the theme because it's my Daisy Core Town, which is kind of cottagecore but with a lot of daisies. And then if I bring up my room builds plot, I think at least 2 have some greenery on the top. So this one here was my TikTok hacks build, and the hack that I was looking at was showing you how to make your roofs look more cottagecore. So there you can see some greenery, and oh man, I thought this one had some on the roof, but it doesn't. But you can see how I did some stuff there. It's still technically a part of the roof. And then I'll also pop a picture of the house that I built for my fan because I definitely put a bunch of stuff on the roof there, and that's probably the best one that I did like that. Oh, and real quick, I know it looks like I probably forgot a roof here. I could potentially roof that like with a flat roof, but you see my issue I'm realizing now is that I used a basic shape to make this porch, so that doesn't work perfectly, but something like that could work. I think I was planning planning to do a bit of a pergola with just some structural beams though. Yeah, you can see that this is not flat at all, but I am trying, y'all. I'm trying so hard. Okay, I'm gonna try to close this off. And yes, it's a little wonky, but you get the idea. I think it still looks cute. And I think I'm gonna make these just like the roof trim with lily white and smooth plastic. And all of that coloring might change, who knows, but there we have our completely roofed house. I really hope that these tips have helped you today with roofing your own houses in Bloxburg. And again, make sure to watch the video on house shape and layout if you need help with that. And then I also am gonna do a video on probably different like color schemes that go well together. But we might also talk about just how to figure out good color schemes as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. I love you all so much and I will see you next time. Bye! What is this glitch, y'all? This is from my last plot, isn't it? This is where I had my bridge on my TikTok hack build. What? I've never seen anything like that before.